the IAA does a really good job of preparing you, both technically and as well as with soft skills, business savvy. And I really think a good data professional is a mix of all of those things. First and foremost, I think it's super important to have this kind of curiosity behind yourself and this desire to learn. Even since the time that I've been out of the IAA, the data landscape has changed immensely, both from cloud architecture, GPUs, and the prominence of computer vision, machine learning, all of that stuff. And then in recent years with generative AI, the landscape is ever evolving and always changing, and it's good to be curious and kind of have this adaptive mindset.
I think the MSA did a good job of balancing technical skill with being able to understand what you're applying it to and grounding the skills in real-world problems. One of the biggest changes that I've seen has been because of the advent of Gen AI. I think it's become less important to just be able to write raw code, and more important that you can understand what the business needs, formulate the problem that you're trying to solve appropriately, and then answer those questions. I think the MSA does a good job of providing the foundation that you need to feel confidence in using assistive tools like Gen AI instead of deferring the problem solving entirely to them.
The most valuable skill I took from the MSA was learning how to learn, quickly and responsibly. In the real world, the tools and technologies are always changing. The MSA taught us to break down messy, real-world problems, ask the right questions, and figure things out in a structured and thoughtful way. The alumni stand out because we've had hands-on experience solving real business problems with real data, and we learn how to do that in teams with strong communication and a sense of shared responsibility.
Relationship building is huge. At the MSA, you work a lot in teams, you focus a lot on your development as a person, as a leader, and also as a follower and a team player. I've relied on a lot of this relationship building skills as I've rotated teams. I've been able to go back to past connections and get help in their domain of expertise. And I think in working, the relationships matter a lot with your team and being able to function and perform at a high level. The last thing is the feedback giving. Throughout performance reviews, receiving feedback and giving feedback, I think it helps keep your ego in check. And just getting in the habit of people are going to say things to you that you may not like, agree with, but being able to not react in a negative way to that and try and find the value in it and maybe disagree with it, but in a polite way. The MSA really helps with just the amount of feedback you get from coaches, from peers, and I think a lot of other programs don't prepare for, and I think there's a learning curve to that.
Remain flexible. One of the things that I was very hung up on at the Institute was landing the perfect first job out of the program. However, over time, I've come to understand that the most important thing is finding an opportunity that allows me to acquire new skills and become a better data professional. No decision you make has to be permanent. So as long as there's a net positive from where you are today, go for it.